second, and then all this just kind of came about. Not the way I wanted it to, but it did. First of all, I just have a little sign here. It is.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Sitting on the side of the road, you always see the people with the signs. Some of you guys might have been the people. I could have been the people without God. I am not that person. Do you think anyone pictures that sign sitting on the street as they're ending? I didn't. Do you think anyone grows up dreaming of standing there, desperate, alone, in the cold, just trying to survive? There is a quote from a book we had to read. I was a school teacher for 19 years. I don't know if I'll go back to that, but there's a quote from a book we had to read. The book's called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. There's a quote that says, "Begin with the end in mind." I do not think anyone begins with this end in mind, nor do they want their ending to be like mine. No one plans on addiction. No one plans on losing control. No one plans on destroying their body, their family, or their future. No one plans on losing their teaching career or losing their family, and I definitely did not.
Amen.
6 months ago this week, I was hanging upside down on Highway 32. I couldn't feel my legs. I could not move. Got my nose, but I'm not really falling. My body would not respond. I looked down to see if my legs were there, and they were, but they wouldn't move. Someone was standing over me rather quickly because I was so close to the station on 32. And he opened the door, and I said, "Please don't let me die. I have 4 kids. Please don't let me die." I lived like right up the road. I was almost there. I heard the helicopter above me. I just gave up right then. In that moment, I knew I had done it to myself. It was not the ending I pictured for my life. And let me ask you something. How do you picture the end of your life? Because it's so important.
Yes.
We all have a battle. They said that earlier. The truth is, everyone is fighting something, whether you know it or not, or if you're not, you will be. Some battles are visible and some are hidden. Mine was very hidden up until that week. I had been given too many chances. But you might be battling pornography, food, shopping, alcohol, drugs, fear, greed. Because in Romans 3:23 it says, "All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God."
Yes.
I just so happened to battling a sin that hurt so many people. Christ first, my husband, my kids, my family, my in-laws, aunts, church family, my grandpa, that you know. And I talked to you last night, and he's praying for me tonight. He's been a preacher for 64 years. And I'm also disappointed that sweet cop who opened the door and looked at me and said, "Mrs. Tisher," because he was my student in 6th grade. More than anything, I was grateful I was alive. Yeah. But I saw my husband, who got there rather quickly, Life 360 premium plan. We have 4 kids. I got it. Is very important to get. It kept notifying him. He had just left work. He's a chiropractor and a pastor. Um, he had just left work, and it kept saying Missy crashed, calling 911. And he was like, oh, this thing, like, turns it off, turns it back on, and it did it again. So he knew. And my car was stopped on the little map. So it took him right to where I was, and I was upside down, and the cab was smashed, so he knew I was gone. The truth is, I had been drinking for a long time. Not many people knew. It was off again and on again. Binge drinking, I've been told it's called. But I was in a binge cycle during that week. The night before I drank, the day before, sleep, get up and drink a little bit more. I headed to Festus. I had a dentist appointment over here. Got behind a wreck, so I missed it. Turned around, got some more to drink, went home. All was well. I ran off the road just a little bit and overcorrected. I laid on my side, then the top, flipped it twice. I thought I was getting really good at hiding it, but I was not. Since I guess 2022, I had been off again, on again. It started out where I could just shut it off, and it became that I had no control. I did not know how bad it had become, though, and how addicted I was, and how deep the denial ran. Yeah. I didn't know until later that people had prayed for me. My daughter, who's here tonight, 15, had prayed for something to wake me up. Yes. Even if it had to be a crash. They just wanted me to listen to God. Yeah. I had notes in my car from all my kids. Anderson had come in one night. Mom, you gotta get a grip. You gotta figure this out. He had a verse the next morning, or one of the mornings of a hangover. I found a little index card from my oldest, Roland, and it had a verse, and we don't want you to die in a car wreck, and the very thing that almost happened, and I don't know why I'm here today, and I told Kelly all this in a bunch of texts, and I'm like, he gave me a second chance, why, I don't know, and then she asked me about talking, I'm like, nope, it's too soon, I just kept praying, and then I just kept hearing God, say to do it. There's my card. I think my pink pants and my rear end there is sticking out. Sorry about that. But I have clothes on. But somehow I ended up in this spot, and like she said, I'm in a pastor's family, like they're all in ministry. My dad and his brothers sing. They're the Berry brothers. They perform all the time. My grandpa, my uncles, my daddy, my husband. We were youth leaders forever, and we're still at that church. He's the assistant pastor in St. Genevieve. Church wasn't something I just visited. It was my whole life. From the time I can remember, I was in church. Faith heritage doesn't replace your personal surrender or your relationship with Christ. Yes. Knowing about God isn't the same thing as letting Him save you and putting your hope in Him. So we headed up to the hospital. We found out later that evening I had broken 2 vertebrae in my neck and smashed the discs, C6, C7. Isn't that, my kids are like, Mom, 6, 7. Like, I will never forget that's what I broke. My spinal cord was kinked. The doctor, neurosurgeon, came in 12 a.m., I guess. It was the first time Ryan, my husband, saw me again. And he's a chiropractor, so he just looks right at Ryan, and I'm like, well, I don't understand the language, but what needs to happen? I can't feel anything. He said, I don't know how much you can get back, but the spinal cord is kinked. And he showed us on the machine. There's some of my friends. Anyway, there was blood on the spinal cord. It was leaking fluid. He had to get in there right away, and I kissed and hugged all of them and went on back. I didn't know how I would wake up. I didn't know what the future would look like. I wasn't a quadriplegic yet. I could move my hands. When I woke up from surgery, I cried. My sister-in-law, one of my best friends, was there. It was like 3 in the morning. My nephew was there. And I remember thinking that this was the ending somehow. I had hoped that it wasn't because of the God that I serve.
Amen.
There's still battles everywhere. No one talks about them. I share some things on Facebook, not a lot. I'm still battling a lot of things with family and physical things, mental things. Satan's attacks are so hard. I was telling Ryan this week, he's going to attack this week, he's going to attack next week. We need to put our hedge of protection, pray for a hedge of protection.
Yes.
No one talks about all these things. How my bowels aren't still working. My bladder won't function right yet. The pain is so bad, and I'm off pain pills because that was another goal, like get me off these things before that becomes a problem. Not being able to feel my toes still, and not being able to take a deep breath because of my diet. Yeah. And I'm just praying I will get there. I've disappointed so many people, and like I said, my God, my church family, but now I couldn't hide anymore. It was on Facebook, Sun-Times News, arrested, my name, everything. I had already resigned my job because of a second DWI last January. I just knew if I didn't, it wouldn't turn out well. So I was new there. The library was named after my mother. I had taught 18 years at Farmington and then moved down to St. Genevieve. And I served in that library because I got my library degree. Me and my mom got it together. So it was a special job for me. But I ended my teaching career in that spot, which is amazing. Nobody talks about the cost. We're paying $2,400 a month for insurance and $7,000 deductible. Nobody talks about the therapy, all the equipment you need, things insurance doesn't cover, and how your body just has a mind of its own. I lost, I guess, 45 pounds now since the wreck, and it didn't really hit me why. Yesterday, I had weighed in and I lost another 15, and then I got thinking, oh, it is my tongue. I don't taste anything. And there's a nerve in there that connects your spinal cord, wouldn't you know? So everything connects to your spinal cord. Nobody talks about substance abuse counseling and the embarrassment of facing people who read the paper and read what happened and saw the 3 DWIs since 2022. Now it's out. The first one that was lowered or dismissed, if you get 3 and 5 years, I believe, they all come back up. So they're all out there for all to see. And no one talks about your friends hearing the scanner and it said helicopter en route and then it said helicopter canceled. So they all thought I was gone. No one talks about things that are just between me and God. Here's what I do know. They're with that quote, beginning with the end in mind. When I was living in my addiction, I was running away from God instead of to Him, and I was running toward an ending that I never wanted. God stepped in. I'm now putting my full hope in Him. Psalm 43:5. 6 months, no drinking this week. Woo! And I don't want to be a performer like I think I was before. I want it to be real and from my heart. So this is the way I had to get here, and I don't wish it for anyone else. It's very scary and lonely. And I want to ask you if you're letting God write your story. Are you still trying to control your ending? Or are you just performing? Reach down in your heart and ask God, because I don't want this to be my ending.
Amen.
I know He's still going to perform lots more miracles. And if I can do this right, and the end of my testimony for now, but it's not the end of my story. And I know a year from now I'm going to have a bigger story and testimony to share. So thank you, Kelly, for having me.
Let's give it up for Mitzi, a brave young lady here. What a testimony.